Om Siddhim Prapto Yata Brahma Tatapnoti Nibodhame Samasena Eva Kaunteya Nishtha Jnanasya Yapara Buddhya Vishuddhaya Yukto Dhrityatmanam Niyamya Cha Shabdadin Vishayanks Tyaktva Raga Dvesho Vyadasya Cha Viviktase Vilaghvashi Yatava Kayamanasah Dhyana yoga paro nityam vairagyam samupashritaha ahankaram balam darpam kamam krodham parigraham vimuchya nirmama shanto brahma bhuyaya kalpate. Learn from me in brief, O son of Kunti, how, after really reaching perfection in actionlessness, one attains to Brahman, the supreme consummation of knowledge, endowed with the pure intellect, subduing the body and senses with determination, renouncing the objects of the senses, such as sound and the like, rejecting attachment and hatred, resorting to a solitary spot, eating but little, controlling body, mind, and speech, ever engaged in the practice of meditation, possessed of dispassion, forsaking egotism, power, pride, lust, anger, and greed, free from the sense of possession and tranquil. Such a person is fit for becoming Brahman. Good morning, everyone. These are the verses. Of course, this is the third and final session of this series of talks. These are the verses we find in the 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, verses 50 to 53. So I want to start with just a very brief review of what we've discussed before. This is the real question is, what does it mean to become fit for becoming Brahman? What does it mean, and how do we go about doing it? Now, I spent a long time, probably too much time, on this question of what does it mean to become Brahman, because we know that the language of it is a little bit odd, that if we really are Brahman, then how do we become Brahman? And even knowing Brahman, if Brahman is the knower, how do we know Brahman? There's a lot of, these are linguistic difficulties. If we want to simplify the whole thing, this whole section is about how do we become fit for God realization or self-realization. We don't have to make it too technical, and from that point of view. Then the other question is fitness. What do we mean by fitness? If we're talking about eligibility, who is eligible for God realization, we find that by the time we get to, in Gita, everything is opened up. This question of adhikara, who is eligible or even allowed to study the scriptures, to hear the Mahavakyas, to read Upanishads and everything. Everything is opened up in Gita so that everybody is eligible. And if we want to look at it from the higher point of view, then not only is everybody eligible, but it's inevitable that everyone will, sooner or later, realize the highest truth, whether it's personal or impersonal. Why? Partly because this is something this is our birthright. This is why we take this human birth in order to realize it. And also because Vedanta will tell us we're already perfect. Only we have to realize it. So what we find in these verses here is really how to prepare ourselves. What do we have to do if we want to hasten the whole thing? We say, okay, it's inevitable. Either this lifetime or the next, or in the next 100, it's inevitable that we'll all realize the highest truth. But if we want to do it here and now, then how do we go about doing it? So this is the kind of blueprint that we have. What are the different qualities that we have to cultivate? What are the types of actions we do, spiritual practices do we do, that will allow us to get higher and higher on this ladder? We're trying to reach the roof. We have this idea of the ladder. What we have with the description here is really those who are on the verge, we can say, that are just getting close enough so that they really feel that this is within our grasp. These are the things that we have to really try to cultivate for ourselves if we want to feel that this is something at least possible, at least imaginable, not quite tangible yet, but we can really feel that when Sri Ramakrishna tells us that this is the goal of life and everyone can have this realization. We can have it now if we can weep for God for 3 days. We can have it right now. So we want to be optimistic, and we want to be able to feel that, yes, but to know that we have to do something. And when we start to see these qualities and really feel that these have really become part of our own lives, then we reach that state that Sri Ramakrishna calls this rosy dawn, Arunodaya. Arunodaya, a beautiful image that we have, that in the very early morning, before the sun rises, you'll see the sky turn a pinkish orange type of color. We don't yet see the sun, but we start to see that color, and we know within a short period that the sun will rise. So this is a description of somebody who has made himself or herself fit for that ultimate type of realization. The last session that we had, I spent practically the whole time on this idea of endowed with a pure intellect. So what does it mean to have this purity of mind, purity of heart? That it turns out that this is probably the single most important element that we have to have. If we have that purity, then just about everything follows from that. Purity of heart, purity of intention, purity of motive, purity of love, that this is really the most important thing. See, all of our very high Vedantic philosophy just takes a second place to all of this. If we can cultivate these really divine qualities and attain to that state of purity, everything will follow. And it doesn't matter we're dualist, non-dualist, nothing matters if we can reach that. So there's a very practical section. I purposely chose this section because it's something within our grasp. When we read the, say, Sthita Prajna section in chapter 2 of Gita, we may get the feeling that, well, this is way above our heads. This is too much. How can we be perfectly calm and quiet and peaceful in the midst of everything else? But this section, it feels within the realm of possibility that at least to a certain extent we can cultivate these things. Now, when we talk about really becoming fit, if we really want to talk about who is qualified to become a God-realized soul, we have to say probably nobody. Other than these handful of great souls that are born from time to time. But we have this element of grace that we become fit to a certain extent that then grace will take over. So we don't have to feel that we have to climb all the way ourselves. We'll get pulled in. We know all of these beautiful images that Sri Ramakrishna uses, that we just get close enough to this huge magnetic mountain, and then it'll start to pull us in, and things will get easier and easier. But we have to do our part. So this is the important aspect of that. So if we have that purity, then this knowledge will dawn on its own. This love of others will dawn on its own, all of these things. So we spent quite a bit of time on that. This morning, I want to go through one by one all of the other aspects of this, all of the other qualities or practices that we're told will make us fit for some type of higher realization. And if not higher realization, we'll find that it's the greatest benefit to us just in leading a tolerable life, just so we can put up and bear all of the difficulties in life, if we can cultivate this, even a secular person, someone who has no interest in religion or spirituality, doesn't believe in anything, even that type of person who can follow these things will find that life becomes a joy. They can be humanists. They don't have to be spiritual people from the ordinary point of view. So these are all very, very important qualities. So I want to start with this Dhritya Atmanam Niyamya Cha. It's a short little phrase, but it has a lot of very important things here. Now, we translated this as subduing the body and senses with determination. This term Atma doesn't always refer to the self, capital S, self. It can refer to the mind, it can refer to just the individual, like the jiva. So here, we can say that it refers to this body-mind complex. So we have to learn to practice self-control with regard to the body, the mind, the senses, and the intellect. So this is a very practical thing, that we don't allow these lower desires to control us. See, all of these things come back to this idea of freedom. Who has actual freedom in this life? The person who can decide what to do and is not at the mercy of these lower desires and is not out of control. If we can feel that we have some control over our decisions, then immediately we'll feel better about ourselves. These are all very practical types of things. So at first, we have these questions of controlling the amount of food that we take, the company that we keep, the things that we see, the type of entertainment that we have, and to practice a type of moderation. Now, there are certain things and there are certain stages of life. For the sannyasin, this will be a little bit different. There are certain things that we'll just automatically give up. Other things for householders, that it's just a question of practicing moderation and being in control, being able to be in control of our lives and not be at the mercy of desires, these lower desires. All of us have areas in our lives where we feel that we're kind of pulled back and forth in different directions. And if we can learn that these things are in our own hands, that we can make decisions. This is a little battle that we have with the mind, that we don't want the mind to always tell us what we can do and what we can't do. We want to be able to tell the mind, no. This is a type of freedom that we have. We talk about free will. Free will manifests itself very often in this ability to tell the mind, no. You can't have it, it's not good for you. You're going to have to listen to me. I'm the one in charge here, and not this lower mind. It's because the lower mind, it has its own agenda. It wants enjoyment and pleasure and everything, and doesn't care about ramifications or anything. So we have to learn to do this with dhritya. That means we have to be firm. We have to just sometimes say no very forcefully and resist what this lower mind is telling us. This is really the difference between the animal world and the human world, or between children and adults. Swami Vivekananda, he says that this is the difference between the ordinary person and more highly evolved person. That how do we make decisions on what to do and what not to do? If it's based something on what we call prayas and shreyas, if it's just based on what will be enjoyable and not necessarily good for us, then it's a sign that we haven't evolved that much from a spiritual point of view. If we understand that there's something higher in life, and if we start to get a taste for it and realize that it's even more enjoyable, this is what Gita calls sattvic happiness. In the beginning, we don't have a taste for it. It may taste like poison even, but it tastes like nectar at the end. We say, take the name of God. Some people say it's boring, just repeat the same thing over and over again. If we do this devotion, then taste comes, ruchi. the namiruchi, and we really start to feel that, yes, now I understand that there's a joy to all of this. So these are not things like just telling children, they say, why do I have to do it? Because I told you to do it. No, we're told to do it because it'll bring tremendous meaning to our lives. Whether, as I say, whether we realize God or not, that's a different thing. But it'll bring tremendous joy and meaning to our lives. So this niyamya, we have our yamas and niyamas. This means we have to practice all of this type of self-control. But it's not such a negative type of thing. It's not such a negative type of thing because we're helping the mind. It's not like telling children, no, you can't have any nice food or sweets or anything. That we'll have something better that we can replace it with. And ultimately, this feeling of self-respect and self-image, or self-image is tremendously dependent upon our ability to resist lower impulses. And the self-respect comes from that, if we feel that we're in control of our lives. So this is the slightly selfish reason for us to practice this self-control, is that we'll feel that we're not leading a life of slavery. Whether, as I say, whether we're doing it to realize God or not, but we'll feel that we're in control of our lives. Most of the people who have mental problems and things, if they go and meet with an analyst, or it's like half of the time it's that they feel that I'm not in control of my life. Things are spinning out of control. And it's all a question of the mind, no matter how much of it is external circumstances, and of course that plays a big part. But most of this is that we don't know how to control these passions and desires, and we get rocked back and forth, like the ship without the keel. That there's nothing there to keep us balanced and level. So this is a very important thing, that for spiritual life and for ordinary type of life. You know, there's another verse that I refer to very often from Gita that I like very much. This Shaknoti haiva yasodhum prak sharira vimokshanat kama krodhodbhavam vegam sayukta sasukhe naraha. This is because of the second half of this, that if anyone can withstand this tremendous force of desire and anger and all of the passions here and now, not in the distant future, here and now, before the body falls away, that person is a person of self-control, yuktaha. That person is self-control, but that is a happy person. Sasukhi naraha. This is the hook for us, that it's not all negative. It's not just that, we have to be so strict and everything. No, this will bring great joy to our lives if we can learn this secret of being in control of our passions and our desires and things. Then we get the next phrase. Shabdadin vishayang tiktva, abandoning sense object such as sound and the like. Now, some of these things, as I said, are not for everyone. In Gita also, there's a very beautiful section on different types of yajna. And there's some, it'll be a sacrifice. What do? They'll take all the objects of the senses and do that as an offering. Others will take, say, music and poetry and everything else, and they'll listen to it, and they'll take it within as an offering to the self within. There's two different ways of doing it. Some it'll be real denial, and others will be spiritualizing it. So when it says giving these up, that will be those types of pleasures that really keep us in some state of delusion or false identification. Other things we can spiritualize. If Say we had a beautiful violin concert the other night. So we can say, well, isn't that sense pleasure? Isn't that coming in through the ears and everything? But it's so elevating and spiritually lifting that it doesn't fall under this type of category. So there are many things. We go into nature, we see a beautiful sunset, we see birds flying and everything. These are very elevating types of things. We have to use our sense of judgment and know which things elevate the mind and which things drag us down. And the ones that drag us down, we should try to eliminate as far as possible. So, with regard to how much we practice of this tyaga, tyaktva is the word that's used, of this renunciation, there'll be some, we'll have some sadhus especially, who really, they'll wear one piece of cloth, if anything, they'll go barefoot, they'll sleep under a tree, they'll live in a cave, they'll take it to a tremendous extreme. And there'll be others that won't manifest that feeling of renunciation. It'll be of a mental type of renunciation. But it has to be a little bit, at the very least, moderation. I remember I asked a question once of Swami Swahananda Maharaj. He was the president of the order at that time, and all the sadhus used to meet with him in the morning, and we could ask questions. I was too shy to ask a question. I asked somebody to ask for me. So I asked him, what is the real meaning of tapasya, austerity? And I was half expecting him to say the real meaning is go deep in meditation and everything. And he said, yes, but a little bit of physical austerity is also necessary if you want to really say you're practicing tapasya. Yeah. It impressed me very much. And he himself, he spent many years in Uttarkashi and led a very austere life there and begging food. Begging food, it doesn't really mean going door to door. It means going to these chatras, these places where they'll give you some very watery, practically inedible dal to have, and some cold, dry chapatis. And maybe you can get milk every once in a while or something, but it's a very austere type of life. And really, there's no thought during the day of, oh, I'm looking forward to the next meal. Mind becomes free. There's a reason behind all of these things, that we become free from this longing for enjoyment. Now, don't get me wrong here. I love the food that we get. Yeah. We have the most generous, helpful devotees who bring delicious food, and we all enjoy it. But we can understand, at least at a certain stage in life, how the direct disciples, we look at the austerities that they practice. It's hard for us to believe that the Belur Math days, how Swamiji says, demons would have run away at the sight of our austerities. Yeah. And that mostly, of course, is long hours of japa and meditation, early morning till late in the afternoon. And Swami Ramakrishna would have to forcefully stop them, break up their meditation and japa and everything so that they would take something to eat. Yeah. And then wandering from place to place, not knowing where you'll sleep at night. These are all the extreme form of this. But for us in general, it'll be whatever sense enjoyment is there that doesn't elevate the mind. If it doesn't elevate the mind, then we have to eliminate it. Sri Ramakrishna, he is very, we can almost say adamant about practicing detachment by really detaching ourselves. So it's not that he says, yes, go live in the world and mix with everybody and do everything, but don't be attached while you're doing it. He says, no, don't mix with those people. That keep yourself away from that type of enjoyment, so-called enjoyments and pleasures, because they disturb the mind. So because he knows that our mind is not strong enough. This is why he compares the mind of the beginner, and we're all beginners to a certain extent, to a small little plant that has to be fenced around, so that otherwise these gophers and other animals, squirrels and rabbits will come. Of course, in India, there's the goats and cows. They'll come and they'll eat it up. So we have to fence it around. That means protect ourselves a little bit from the type of company, the type of experiences, the type of things we watch and read and everything that will tend to disturb the mind. So we have our nice things that we enjoy, but in moderation. There's no harm in having nice clothes and nice car and everything, but not the biggest car and the biggest house, and where we easily get attached. Easily we get attached to things that are more valuable in the eyes of the world in general. Okay, now we come to another very, very important point. Raga dvesha. Raga dvesha vyudasya cha. We have to somehow get beyond likes and dislikes, because this is also a great sense of bondage. If we observe our lives, we find that we're always running after things that we like and wanting to do things that we enjoy doing, and running away from things that we don't like, and avoiding people that we don't like and things that we don't like. So this raga dvesha, if we can somehow transcend that and reach the point where, yeah, I like one thing more than another thing, but my mind won't react. That I can understand that this thing is well cooked, this isn't well cooked. It doesn't make any difference to me. I can equally take one or the other. Why should that affect my mind? I wasn't born in this world just to eat nice food and see all the pleasant things and good things and everything. But there's a secret that, again, some of you have heard me say this many times, that there's only one way to get rid of things we don't like, and only do things that we like. And that is to learn to like everything that we do. It's a very simple type of thing, but a very brilliant type of thing, that we can't avoid things that we don't like to do. We can learn to like things that ordinarily we don't like to do. If we do that, then everything we do we like. Sometimes we hear people say, with regard to their job, if you like your job, you'll never work a day in your life. Because it'll be enjoyment, it won't be work. So this is something that some of you may remember our Swami Atmajnananda from Brazil. He gave that retreat on the toxins of the mind. And he told a story. He was a young brahmachari who had just come to Delhi. He was from South India. He had just come to Delhi. Swami Vandhananandaji was in charge at that time. And when they were served food that first day, he was given this bitter gourd, karela. He had never had that before in the South. He tasted it as bitter. Why would people eat something so bitter like this and everything? So he kind of left it on the side. And then the Swami Vandhananandaji, who was very senior, Swami later became a general secretary of the order, he came and said, "Oh, I see the brahmachari has his likes and dislikes." He said, very sweetly, he said it to him. Yeah. And then he said, "Oh, okay, now I understand." And then he said he learned that eventually he learned to like it. And many of us who never had it before, and now it's a fantastic thing. Yeah. You just have to get used to the idea that the tongue reacts to it in a different way that we're not used to. But, aside from things that are really not done well, that we can learn to like anything. And when it comes to work, that really, if we, first of all, if we look upon work as worship, this will take care of almost all of it. But if we look upon work as a kind of challenge, and we can see that there's some perfection behind every type of job that we do. And we really see it as something that can engage the mind. Simple things. Washing dishes, cleaning clothes, things, washing the toilets in the bathrooms. All of these things that we say, why would I want to do this type of thing? But if we get the right mindset and we see that, these toilets can be sparkling afterwards. They can be shining, and we really have some sense of accomplishment that we can really learn to like anything. This was a great lesson for me when I joined our monastery in Trabuco Canyon, because there we all have to do everything. So 1 week we do cooking, then 1 week we do puja, then another week we just do our outside types of work. It can be all different types of things. And I observed that some of the monks, they were not happy when it was their cooking week. They just didn't like it. They would just try to get through with it. Others, worship week. They would rather be out doing projects and other things like that. And then I saw one or two, or Swami Atmajnananda especially, that it didn't matter what he was doing. He did everything with that same concentration and the same devotion and love and everything. So you could see that he enjoyed everything. So I learned that from him, that really we can really just enjoy whatever it is that we're asked to do. And then there's no dvesha, and then raga, then it's also not attachment. See, raga also means attachment, not just likes and dislikes, but things that we do that we like so much that we don't want to let go. This we let go. We did it that week, then we do something the next week. There was a great Jewish mystic, the Baal Shem Tov. And after he passed away, one of his disciples was asked, what was the most important thing in his life that he did? And the disciple said, whatever he happened to be doing at the time. Yeah. So a tremendous lesson that, we only want to do the things that we like, then we learn to like whatever it is that we do. It's simple, done. Huh? It's the nicest way to practice this without feeling that, yes, I have to do something that's not very appealing to me. I'd rather avoid this and everything. Of course, there's things that we like to avoid, giving lectures and things like that, but still, we can learn to make it bearable, at least. Yeah.
They'll also learn to like.
And we hope that you also learn to like to listen to them. Okay. So anyhow, if you don't take anything other than this away from today's talk, this is such a wonderful teaching. Because really it's such a sense of bondage. We see people that just, no, I don't want to do it. I don't like it. Children especially. Why do you make me do it? I don't like to do it. And then we see others that if they try, we say, just try it. They say, oh, it's not so bad. But we're adults, we still have these same things, these likes and dislikes. So this is a great teaching from in Gita, and so practical. Helpful in spiritual life, but just practical in the everyday life. Now, we get to the next verse, and we get some special teachings regarding how to lead a spiritual life. So now we're going to zero in a little bit more on spiritual practice, and some of these we'll find are the ideas most emphasized by Sri Ramakrishna himself. That we get to this vivikta sevi, go into solitude from time to time. How many times Sri Ramakrishna says that? So what is the reason for, and what do we gain by going into solitude? Very often Thakur says, keep holy company. If you can't find holy company, then go into solitude. Or else he'll say that everybody from time to time, he would tell some of his disciples, even construct a little hut somewhere in some, by the side of the Ganga or something, where you can go and spend a little time in solitude. And then he would say, how much? If you can spare 6 months, if you can spare 2 months, even 2 days, even 1 day in solitude, that it'll be very helpful. So, what is the advantage of solitude? Now, the obvious advantage, number one, of course, is that we have no disturbances. We can forget the outside world exists. We can just devote ourselves to our practice, to self-evaluation, that now we can really ask ourselves, what is it that we're trying to get out of life? What is important to us? What are we willing to work hard for? And we can start to understand how much we're affected by the company of other people, and how much our sense of self-identification is based on the other person observing us. We often hear about this false identification with the body and the mind. This false identification comes, personally I feel, more through the other person seeing us, or sense that when you see me, this is what you see. When I think of me, I don't necessarily think of this. I think of myself as a person, but you have no other way of seeing me than seeing this physical body. And you hear my words, of course, and you make assumptions with regard to who is this person who's standing here looking like this, saying these words. But when we live alone, if we live alone for a long time, we start to see ourselves from the inside out. That yes, I'm just that consciousness, that awareness of everything that's taking place, and not from the outside in. That yes, I'm this physical presence in the world that everyone gets to see and interact with and everything. I had the opportunity, I'll say opportunity, to spend probably 7 years living alone. And I was very, very reclusive in those days. You may think that I'm a very outward-going people person. Yeah, but in those days I didn't mix with anybody. I was really very unfriendly. People thought, who is this person? Not mixing with anybody. But I started to fall in love with solitude. That most of the time I was in school, the graduate school then, and I just couldn't wait to get back to my dumpy little one-room apartment. I locked the door. I would take the phone off the hook, and I just breathed a sigh of relief. And then you feel there's nobody there, just yourself, Thakur Ma Swamiji there in the shrine, and nothing else, that's all. And we can really feel that we are who we are. We can really feel that there's something to exist without having any physical type of awareness even. I had this one trip to India where I traveled alone for a long time, in South India especially, and this is going to sound like a generalization, almost a stereotype, but I found the people in South India to either you can say be very polite or a little bit distant, but they just would let me be. I would walk for hours and hours. I love to walk. And I would feel that I was invisible. And my feet aren't touching the ground. I'm just the observer of everything. And this comes from this idea of solitude. Some of you know that I did this funny thing. I spent this 1 year in Kolkata where I didn't keep a mirror. And I rented a couple of small rooms so that I never saw my image. Every few weeks I'd go and get a shave and a haircut or something. But really, you stop to think of yourself as a physical presence and start to feel that I am that consciousness in which this whole world exists. That feeling starts to come. So going into solitude, somehow the burden of being seen by other people, interacting with other people, disappears. And we can really feel that I am who I am. I really feel that there's a sense of myself that's not dependent upon anything else. And this is the real self. So the solitude, I don't want to belabor this whole point, but it's something very, very important. Otherwise, Sri Ramakrishna won't say it over and over again. How many times he says that? Go into solitude, go into solitude. Now, for some of us, it's not a practical thing, but at least we go into the corner of the room when nobody's there and spend a little time just by ourselves, that we feel the difference. We feel the difference. Even if we're completely worldly people, we go into our house and we watch television. It's different doing it alone than having somebody else there. We just lose that feeling that we're a physical presence in the room, to a certain extent, of course. Anyhow, this is something that one of the teachings of Sri Ramakrishna that we all read over and over again, but very rarely put into practice. Very rarely do we find people that will actually build a little place, some other place, or go on a retreat all by themselves, all alone. And just experience what it's like. For many people, it's frightening. Many people can't bear solitude. For them, solitude is loneliness. But if we feel solitude, we can commune with God, that we can really feel that divine presence within, that there's nothing to prevent us from just enjoying that divine communion. Then it becomes a very wonderful thing. Then we get this laghu ashi. This is just moderation in food. That we don't want that to be something that rules our lives, always wanting this, more nice things and everything. It's a very simple type of thing. This is why sadhus bake their food, one of the reasons and everything. But of course, this is not something that we want to be foolish about. The food has to be healthy food also. We have to take care of our maintaining our body and health and everything like that. But especially night time, Sri Ramakrishna used to say, do not eat too much if we want to get up early in the morning and do our meditation and everything. And not to try to meditate after a meal, that blood and everything goes to the stomach. But it's good to eat lightly before we sit for meditation, or in the morning to not have anything before we sit for meditation. So this is a very good general type of thing. Third prescription for practicing austerities, yatava kaya manasa, control of speech, body, and mind. Now this control of speech, this ties in with that solitude idea also. That when we're in the presence of other people, we say things just to say things sometimes. We have to analyze why we say the things that we say. I sometimes am shocked, even the things that come out of my mouth. Was it necessary to say that? If we really feel that no one can see me except this physical body, the closest way that they can see me, me means this individual, is through my speech. Expressing myself. And the way I say things and how I talk to people and everything, this is my way of saying, look, this is who I am. Like little kids. Yeah, me, look, this is me. So if we analyze the things that we say and why we say them and how half the things are meant to impress people and to show how smart we are or how nice we are or how kind we are or how powerful we are, even how mean we can be, how we can express our anger. If we observe all of these things, then we see that it's all goes back to ego and identification with this lower self, which we're trying to get rid of completely. So the control of speech. We had one old monk in Trabuco. He always used to remind me when I would say something. He'd say, is it true? Is it kind? Is it necessary? And if we follow that, we'll eliminate 90% of the things we say. And everyone will be happy also. Yeah. So it's very, very interesting to analyze why we say the things that we say, what that motive is and everything. Sometimes, of course, we want to communicate with people. We want to be light, and we want to express our joy in their company. But that's fine. But it's good to observe why we do these things and how we do them. Yeah, if we look at the direct disciples, the Swami Brahmananda and Swami Turiyananda, how they were together practicing austerities, tapasya in Vrindavan and other places, and how days and days would pass without them uttering a word to each other. Just content to commune with the self within. So this control of speech is a very important thing. Okay, then dhyana yoga pro nityam. Dhyana yoga, we can take this as two things or as one thing. That we want to give the highest priority, paraha, the highest priority to this practice of meditation. And nitya means something that happens each and every day without end. It has both meanings, something eternal and something daily. So this daily practice of meditation is absolutely necessary if we want to be able to do all of these other things. Because we need that time of deep reflection and to observe what is the real nature of the self, and to go beneath the surface of the mind to understand that essence of our being is something that transcends the mind. Meditation is not a mental thing. Real meditation is something that belongs to the heart. When Thakur says dive deep, the surface is the mind, and diving deep to that Vrindavan of the heart, and to where all the gems lie. That's the heart center, that feeling of love, that feeling of communion with God, that feeling of reveling in the self. It doesn't have to be a personal God type of thing. There's an Atma Krida. We have this beautiful phrase from the Upanishads. The sporting with the self. This Atma Rama idea. It's rejoicing in the self. That we have to get a taste for that in meditation. If we really can feel, because the mind is so much outward going. In meditation is the one time to turn inward. Swamiji says this is the one time when we can really be who we really are, at that time of meditation. So, dhyana yoga paraha, this has to be top priority. And nityam, that it's not something to do haphazardly, one day yes, one day no, that we should have a routine and a regular schedule. I always remember Swami Swahananda's great statement, bind yourself to a routine. That the more we can be very regular, then the more the mind is free. If it doesn't have to constantly think, should I do it, should I not do it? It just becomes automatic. So this regularity in meditation, japa, spiritual practice, is also something extremely important. And nityam, every day. Totapuri told Sri Ramakrishna that, you can polish a pot, but it'll tarnish if you have to do it every day. Now, Sri Ramakrishna said, well, what if it's turned to gold? That's his case. That's not our case. In our case, that, we'll find that how easily we can slide back a little bit. And one day we say, let me skip one day. How easily that can turn into 2 days and 3 days. We know the story of Holy Mother. When one morning she felt like she wasn't feeling well, sleep it all, and then the next day, and then she said, this is the mind playing the trick on me. Immediately. Of course, this was also just for our sake. The Holy Mother's case was, of course, different. Then we get to this last phrase in verse 52. Vairagyam samupashritaha. So this vairagya. And this is also a scary word for many people, that renunciation or dispassion. But Sri Ramakrishna makes it very easy. Give up the lower for the higher. That if once we get a taste for something higher, these other things leave us behind. This is why Thakur invariably talks about anuraga when he talks about vairagya. If we simply have a distaste for the world, if we simply want to escape and we're not going towards anything, then this is just escapism. But if this world is like a raging forest fire and we're trying to get out and breathe, or we're being held down underwater and we know there's fresh air is there to breathe and we're longing for that, then that anuraga is there. Both. Vairagya, we don't want to be drowned in the world, and anuraga, we want to take a breath, that fresh air, and feel that we're alive again. So this is that need. Now, samupashritaha, this is a very strong type of word. We take refuge in that. We have that form of foundation for us, that this dispassion for the world, together with tremendous passion for God, or passion for whatever we do. This idea that passion is a bad thing, this is also not entirely true. We can be passionate about our job, our family, if it's a sattvic type of thing, that's all. That we want to have passion in life. We don't want to be dead, dry, dull people. Thakur never wanted that. Yeah, he prayed to the Divine Mother, don't make me a dry sadhu. But it has to be connected with the divine somehow. So this vairagya, this is really for those things that'll drag us down. Now we finally get to the very end, and I'll try to finish this up. We get a long phrase: ahankaram, balam, darpam, kamam, krodham, parigraham, and then vimuchya. Vimuchya means not just giving up, but being free from them. We get the word moksha, mukti, and everything from this. Being free from all of this. Egotism, power, vanity, lust, anger, and we can say parigraha, possessiveness. So this is really lust, anger, and greed, if we want to look at it that way. So each of these could be a whole talk. I won't dwell too much on these, but this idea of ego, Sri Ramakrishna, he devotes a tremendous amount of time to this. He has a very subtle understanding of ego. That here ego means pride. We can say if it means pride, then we want to get rid of it. If it means sense of self, then it's not necessarily a good thing or a bad thing. If this ego is completely consumed with this physical body and desires and lower passions and all of that, then of course that type of I is completely our worst enemy. But if our sense of ego is in a relationship with God, this is ripe ego, this is one of the most important teachings I feel of Sri Ramakrishna, that if that ego won't go away, then let the rascal remain as a servant of God or a child of God. So what we're really talking about here is that pride that comes through all of these lower things, these whatever little accomplishments that we have that we're so proud of, or whatever intelligence we have that we're proud of, to get rid of these things completely. Balam, this desire to control people, this lust for power. This is a horrible thing. We see how people, they get a little money and they get a little power over other people, that it becomes insatiable. They want more and more and more. So there's balam, and then darpam. Yeah, this is vanity that comes. It's not too different from ahankara. And then all of these passions, kama, krodha, lobha, and all of that Sri Ramakrishna has that very nice way of saying, well, remove these very negative elements to this and give them a little turn, give them a little twist, so that if we have any tremendous longing for something, let it be longing for God. If we feel any frustration, let it be frustration that we can't realize God, or that we can't do our spiritual practice as much as we would like to. So Thakur always gives a positive spin to all of these things. But we have to really, again, analyze the mind. Are we doing things, bala, this thirst for power? Are we doing it for some lower types of desires? And so these are all things that that we have to somehow, in whatever way we can do it, either through analyzing the mind, through observing, through watching other people, that we have to understand that these things will not help us in spiritual life, and worst of all, they'll make us miserable. That if we look just a simple thing like selfishness, I've never seen a selfish person who was a happy person, really deep down. And you see unselfish people who don't think about themselves, that there's something shining and sparkling about their personality. And there's a certain joy to them. Really unselfish people may not always be happy because they're worried about other people. But it's different. It's different. I always think of Swamiji. What would it be like to be able to feel the misery and pain of thousands and thousands of people? That he hears about an earthquake, how many people died. He feels the pain of all of them. Would that be a horrible type of thing? I don't think so. I think in his case, is almost a type of ecstatic feeling of how to feel one with everybody and even to share with their suffering. Not that he's doing it for that reason or anything, but completely different from the suffering that we get that always goes back to us. Yeah, how it affects me, how I'll suffer because of all of this. Even the pain and suffering of loved ones, very often it goes back to ourselves. Oh, how much we'll miss them and everything. Of course, this is a natural thing. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, but if we can attain to that state of real selflessness, so then we get to this nirmama. Then we don't claim anything for ourselves. Nirmama. Nothing really belongs to me. This is that attitude of the servant, the maid servant in the rich man's home. That there's a freedom to not having anything. If we can literally do it, the monk who wanders, who has no possessions, has some type of tremendous sense of feeling of freedom. There's no question about it. Most people won't be able to appreciate it. That I know. That's a rare thing. For most people, it'd just be, oh my God, what am I going to do next? How do I survive and everything? But the real monk, fearless monk who can do that, there's a tremendous feeling of freedom for that. Swami Lokeshwaranandaji used to quote something, I don't know, from the cloud of unknowing or something. They said, having nothing hath all. Very beautiful idea. If we don't have any individual little possessions, we have the whole world. Yeah. This is what Swamiji said to Ingersoll about squeezing the orange dry. That, I have no wife or children or anything. I can love everybody equally. The whole world is my orange to squeeze that way. So this nirmama and then shanta, and then peacefulness, a quiet mind. If we can have that quiet mind is a happy mind, a peaceful mind. So and this is a great blessing if we can ever achieve that state where the mind is quiet. The mind is quiet and peaceful. This is called manaprasada. This is called the grace of the mind and the clarity of the mind and the quietness of the mind. We read all of chapter 2 of the Gita. They're very beautiful verses with regard to this. If we can get that quiet mind will just revel in the joy of the self. That's all. There's nothing else to disturb it. It'll automatically enjoy that bliss of the self. So this is one of my favorite sections from Bhagavad Gita. If you get a chance, you can go back and spend a little time with these. They're all nice things for meditation, but they're things that we have to try to put into practice. This is the main thing, to make life joyful and to reach that stage where we can really say, yes, I've done everything in my power to make me fit for this higher type of realization, and now it's a question of grace. So let's just take a few minutes and we can sit quietly and reflect on some of these ideas.